Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion with Grow My Cleaning Company. We have the amazing Jackson Pinkoski. He is our marketing guy. Today, we are going to talk how to get clients both commercially and residentially. Let's dive right in. So, I was just on a call with our clients the other day, and I was pointing out one of our clients, Claire, who we love, who just does great, right? She kind of seems to win. And I was, given a little bit of everyone be like Claire to the other people. And I thought that would be helpful to share with you guys, having, helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of owners of cleaning companies with their marketing. We kind of see, obviously, we do everything we can to tell you what works in terms of copy or, Facebook ads versus Instagram versus direct mail. But we don't talk a lot about the types of clients that win. And I think that's actually more, right? Because if there's one thing where like, door hangers just worked every time, everywhere for everybody, we would just preach that. But I think more than, and I think that's what people want to hear is like, how do I market? Just tell me how to market. And we do that in a lot of these episodes. But what I found is I believe we can predict success more based on the behavior of the owner and how he or she approaches the marketing. Even if they had mediocre copy and places they go, if they use these three traits, they'll still get effect. They'll still get good effect. Whereas if they don't have these three traits and they have the perfect copy and stuff, they still struggle, oddly enough. So let's dive into what I see, or my experience has been in Jackson. Probably talks to our clients about marketing more than I do. He'll jump in with seeing a different perspective or adding something or whatever. So the first and biggest, the foundational thing I think is reasonable expectations. Most non-success stories start with, I tried X and it didn't work. And you can fill in direct mail, door knocking, Facebook, whatever, pick what you like. I tried X and it didn't work. What they really mean is I expected I'd spend $100 on Facebook and get a client in a week or two. And I spent $300 over the span of a month and I didn't get any clients. And a fair question is, well, did Facebook not work, or was it about to work or working, but you expected, my wife's been pregnant for 10 weeks now and we don't have a baby. This whole pregnancy thing's a scam. It's like, well, or maybe if I just expected a baby in 9 or 10 months, I'd have a different take. So what kind of expectation, and we'll talk about on the second too, why these expectations matter so much. But Jackson, you can go by kind of marketing lead source or just in general. What kind of expectations do you see people having that does not serve them and gets in their way? And what kind of expectations do you see the people that win and actually get results have?
Yeah. I think a lot of people tend to they tend to focus in on or they think, because they see other people do it. They see success from other people, cleaning company owners or other business owners in general. Um, but what they see the success, but they don't see all the failure that went up because nobody really publicizes their failure, right? Um, if anybody's seen National Treasure, the best reference is Thomas Edison creating the light bulb, right? He went through like I think the joke is he found out 99 ways not to make a light bulb. He just needed to find the one that worked. I mean, in actuality, I think he went through like 3,000 light bulb designs over the course of years to invent the light bulb, right? The same goes for marketing. Um, it works, right? You know it works in some way, shape, or form because you see businesses be successful with it. But I guarantee you, not every single one of those businesses started immediately working. It took time, it took patience, it took that thought process. And so if you have that mindset shift of a business owner, you know, hope for the best, expect for the worst, right? It's not a if it's not successful right off the bat, it's not an ultimate failure, but instead it's growth in the right direction, right? I mean, apply like there's so many metaphors or so many things you do in life, like riding a bike or the first time you change your baby's diaper, if you have kids or things like that, like you're not good at it the first time. It doesn't go well the first time. But after trial and error, it gets better and better. And it becomes really harder for you to see and remember what it was like at that first time. You just know winning now at that point. So that's the kind of mindset and personality you have when you start with these things. And it becomes a little harder too. And I will admit it becomes a little hard because you are typically spending money or time or energy in marketing. And when you don't have a result, it's very easy to feel like a disappointment or that it will never work again, or it's easy to not spend money. It's easier to say, oh, it's not going to work. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to spend money. But that just perpetuates that kind of failure mindset going forward, if that makes sense.
Well, it's crazy because we'll drop $100,000 or $200,000 on a college education without and go into debt for it without any guarantee of any return. Just the
Yep.
expectation of I generally will have, hopefully, a higher shot at a better job. Just that general, and that math to us makes sense. But if someone said, spend $10,000 to really become good at marketing, and say you did 5,000 of that for someone to show you, and $5,000 of that in ad spend, or all 10 grand, because you'll learn both ways. But, and instead of, $150,000 in 4 years, say it would take $10,000 and you tell me, Jackson, 6 months to go from just knowing nothing to being, if not an expert, someone that certainly could successfully market a residential and commercial cleaning business. I'll bet you could be done in 3 months. But that to us seems expensive, right? Like if we spend $800 on Facebook, or $1,200 on door hangers, or 20 hours knocking on doors, or whatever the case may be, and we don't have an immediate positive return on investment, we're just like, this is a scam. But when you go to college and you're on semester 7 and you've paid $82,000 or whatever the case may be, and we don't have a job yet, you don't freak out. You're like, yeah, it takes 4 years and I graduate. And then even day 2 after you graduate, if you don't have a job, you're like, yeah, it might take me, sometimes people get jobs before they graduate. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 months. So step one is just set expectations. If you don't know anything about marketing, there's two ways you can learn. Your time and money or someone else's time and money, right? So other people have spent time and money learning how to market. I don't know how many millions of dollars Jackson spent or I've spent on marketing, and we certainly spent a lot of time educating ourselves, reading, but again, doing it is a pretty gosh darn good. You can read all the books you want until you put some of your own money at stake. It's things change. So you can figure that out on your own, which take a little, a little bit or a lot more time and a little bit or a lot more money, or you can pay someone else who's spent a lot of their time and money to accelerate the learning curve. But if you think it's going to take years and years and years and hundreds of thousands of dollars, like a college education, to become, that would be becoming an expert at marketing, where you could teach other people, like things like that. So that would probably be too long of an expectation. If you think you're going to spend $500,000 and be rich in a month, that's too short. I think a good time frame would be like, if you had a coach, 2 to 4 months, spend some money. If you didn't have a coach, maybe a year. Jackson, what do you thought? Just in terms, and again, for the purpose of this podcast, just to become a marketer that can successfully do residential and commercial cleaning. And, you'd be a huge head start to go do other things. But just to do that, is that kind of thousands of dollars in 2 to 6 months, or 2 to 12 months, depending if you have a coach or not? Is that a reasonable expectation of what this might take?
Yeah, I always like to say I know enough to be dangerous. That's
Yeah.
become like my phrase for things like this. Yeah, I'll give you a perfect concrete example. Claire, who we started talking about this podcast, I remember October 2023, right? We're recording this in March of 25 now. So October 2023, um, I do calls with everybody twice a week in this program, and she would come starting in October twice a week from October. I mean, she still comes twice a week, but October 23
By the
to
way,
April.
let me give a quick bonus before we forget. That throwaway, she still comes twice a week. Of the people on the call, if you picked who quote unquote needs to be at that call the least, it'd probably be Claire, right? Like if you
Yeah,
got sick, we
yeah.
might have Claire fill in and teach her for a week. Funny thing is, she's still consistent. The people that we would say in our program need to be there the most, oftentimes not there at all. So that's a thing. Jackson and I probably read more marketing books than most of you guys, and we probably need the least sharpening of our skills on marketing. So just want to encourage you. It's a bonus trait. That's not on my list of 3, but
Yeah.
continuing to learn even after you quote unquote have enough to be dangerous, real healthy. Sorry, Jackson.
No, it's just October 23 came twice a week, every month. I would say March, April of 24 is when, you know, basically she would ask me a question. I'd be like, yeah, I don't have it. You nailed it, right? Like I can't pull anything out of my head. Your ads are firing, your marketing's doing what it needs to be doing. You're profitable, you're growing, you're scaling. So that kind of time frame, it took energy. She was spending money during that time. She was spending time, working with me. But that was the time frame for that kind of execution.
And I hate to say it, I think she's a more negative outcome because that's what, 4 months? I think
Yeah.
typically it takes about two. If people are consistent, like I would say two is the average. That's why, and we're going to talk about that for number three of the three things I've got. Her taking 4 months, that was just, and then everyone looks at Claire now and is like, well, I just want what you want, but they won't show up to the calls. And again, I'm sure Jackson over those 4 months, maybe she spent a total of 2, 3 grand. And probably in that fourth month, she got all of it back. But maybe in that third month, she got very little or none of it back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta keep going. All right. So the first and foremost thing is just have reasonable expectations, right? It's not probably not gonna, and again, do we have people that start something up and make money immediately? Of course. But again, for this podcast, I want to emphasize that that's kind of like, do people win the lottery? Sure. Are we going to make kind of our plan for wealth to win the lottery? Probably not. So reasonable expectations is huge. Like Claire, and we probably told her, hey, this might be a 2 or 3 month process, and it sounds like it took her four. Throughout the process, we're just like, you're again. It's nice when you've got a coach because Jackson can see the mini indicators, right, going up. So it was, and by that's another thing we should talk about before we go to number two. Well, we're going to go to number two right there. Tracking, tracking. Use the data, not the drama. So if Claire wasn't tracking and Jackson wasn't tracking and they were just testing a bunch of stuff, she'd still be trying to figure it out as we speak right now. There's a lot of value to track. I mean, it's not value, it's just required if you're going to do well. Literally, I'd rather take an average to poor marketer that's really good at tracking data and analyzing it than the best marketer ever that has no data or doesn't know what to do with the data. And there really is no such thing. There's no good marketer that doesn't know what to do with the data because that's almost the definition of it's like, I don't mind a good Uber driver that's a bad driver as long as he's a good Uber driver. It's like, well, that's it's right in the definition. So tracking and knowing that what to do with the data. I think people think marketing is like coming up with a jingle or coming up with this cool, like, just do it from Nike. Um, I gotta say, there's probably a lot more luck. I'm not saying there's no skill in those people, but before the just do it, there was 10,000 taglines that were put forward and probably tested and blah, 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 blah. And then the guy that comes up with just do it looks, lucky, but it's just a lot of data before that. So all that to say, with Claire, and we keep using her because she's such a great example. 3 months in, if we weren't tracking, she would have been devastated. We would have been confused. Everyone would have just been like, well, I don't know what to do here. But it was probably some format of we started with two or three things. And by 3 months in, we'd maybe jettisoned one of them that just wasn't working in her area. We tried a bunch of offers. We tried a bunch of different creatives. We tried a bunch of different methodologies and calls to action. Some worked, some didn't. We went to probably from the beginning going, we don't even know what it costs to get a click or a lead to, oh, we know exactly what it costs to get a lead on 4 or 5 different lead sources. And we know exactly what it costs to get a bid on all of those lead sources. And we know what it costs to get a sale. It's just that sale is more costly than it costs to get it. So it's still a negative. So she had enough data on month 2.5 to be like, oh yeah, this will be fine. Like I can see progress. But if you're not tracking, you don't see the progress. Like one of the things for you commercial guys and gals that's harder is there's a lot less mini data, like check-in points. Like with residential, it's pretty easy to be like, what's a click cost? Or what's it cost to get someone to view this thing? What's it cost to get a click? Or what's it cost to get 1,000 people to view this thing? What's it cost to get a click? What's it cost to get someone to actually take action and go to the next thing? You can really track and see things moving. And on the commercial, because it's so relational, you guys really have to be patient and track the very mini data. Like how many times did I reach out? And what's my relationship with this person look like now compared to when it looked like before? Because you might go 2 months with no bid, but then the third month you might get one bid that's worth 6 grand a year, stays 7 years, and is a 500,000. I can't do the math that fast, but is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of value. But again, without if you don't have anything to track, you can feel nothing. So for on the commercial side, even track what's my relationship with this person. When's the last time I touched him or her, or reached out? When's the last time we spent time together, had a phone call? What's the last piece of value I brought to them? Like you can really get that granular. And then on residential, it's a lot easier with just, clicks. calls, book calls, landing pages hit, DMs, direct messages instigated. Like there's just a lot more checkpoints. Hey, Clean Nation, Mike Campion here. One of my least favorite things about these podcasts are we found that people love the show and they love the information, but when I talk to you guys in person, stuff doesn't get done. People love the podcast, but they don't take any action. If you'd like to actually implement this and get this done in your world, we have a whole team of people that do exactly that. If you go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, you can book a time with either myself personally or one of our teammates to at least help you come up with a plan to actually implement and change your life. So if you want to go from getting these good ideas in your head to getting in your life, just book a free call with myself or my team, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, and we can go from this one-to-many format to one-to-one and really get you some results. Excited to talk. But the tracking is the first step of number 2, and then the making decisions based on the data, not the drama, is step number 2, right? Even in there, people want to go when Jack's like, oh no, you're on track. Don't worry. I know we spent $300 last month. You didn't get a single bid even, but look at how much cheaper our lead cost is. Look at how much cheaper this is. You've got to kind of go with the data, not the drama. The drama is going to tell you, I'm going to look stupid and I'm going to fail. And my friend did some whiz bang marketing thing and he's a billionaire and I'm going to try that. And then you find out that doesn't work and I'll try not, the drama will run you in circles till you die or run out of money. The data will always point you in the right direction if you know how to read it. Thoughts, Jackson, or feedback?
No, you're right. Marketing in general is data analysis and then executing on it, right? Even like the idea of people thinking it's just content creation or jingles or brand names or things like that, right? It's all you start with no understanding if something's going to work or not, right? You just have an idea, and then you use the data to frame that and mold that into something you want, right? I mean, your example of Nike started out as Blue Ribbon Sports, and they sold ASICs, which like, okay, now Nike is Nike with
like
one of the
running
biggest
shoes and tennis shoes. They didn't even do basketball. Like
yeah,
that wasn't even
exactly.
That wasn't their bag.
But do you think that they started that because they were like, okay, I think this is the market we want to go with. This is right. And then they get data, they get collection, they see the way things are going, and they adjust based off of that. They don't just wing up Nike out of thin air, right? The same thing applies for with the types of marketing you do, how your customer pain points, you gather all that through talking to people, interacting with your customers, understanding what the market's like, and then adjusting going forward. So, but if you don't track, then you really are just playing with wisps in the air or something. You're just going nowhere.
So before we move on to the last number 3, the trait that you'll need to be successful in marketing, I'll give you kind of one encouraging bonus. Jeff Bezos, Amazon CEO, founder talks about outsized returns. So the reality, and I found this to be true in my 30 years of business, is when you get up to bat in baseball, the most you can ever do in a perfect circumstance is get 4 runs. That's it. And you have to depend on the bases being loaded and you have to hit a home run. That's it. The best you can do no matter what. And you can, be pretty successful if one in 3 you do well, but there's just gonna be a lot of strikeouts, right? That's just all there is to it. But the problem is with the strikeouts, you can't ever hit a home run and get 29 points or 300 points or win 7 games as opposed to just that game. You can only get those 4 runs, which may or may not even win that single game. And you might bat 2 or 3 times a game, and you might strike out all 3 times, and next time get 2 out of 3, and you're still riding high. All that said, in business, that's not how it works. You got to go up to bat 1,000 times, and you might only really get a good one every 86. But the beautiful thing is, it's not like baseball. A grand slam can be not worth 4 runs or points or whatever you want to call them, depending on what baseball. It can be worth $100 million. Right. So Nike, once they got Jordan, which was a huge swing for them, I think their goal was like 3 or 4 million in revenue the first year, based on the Jordan line. It was like, 100 million. Like it was outsized returns. So that can be true with marketing. But again, they didn't get Jordan or even figure out they want to go into baseball, and they had to put all their chips in. They had to have a lot of data, and they had to go forever. So I want to encourage you. I forget the data. You guys can Google it, but the majority, I forget the percentage, but the majority of millionaires or multimillionaires have been bankrupt at least once. So the data means a big deal, right? And the cool thing is, even if you kind of are down and be like, I can never make it, you can hit a home run that's worth $10 million, right? So one marketing campaign, one Jordan type decision can make generational wealth. So even though you might have to swing and strike out a lot, and it can be discouraging to keep swinging, it's not like, well, I lost $100,000 trying this thing out, and the most I can make is $10,000. You're like, I can make $10 million with one decision. So just want to encourage you. All right, the last thing. So just for those at home taking notes, reasonable expectations is first. Tracking using data, not drama, to make decisions is second. And third is patience and consistency. And one of the guys I love in marketing, Alex Ramosi, says is one of the things that your competitors will not copy, right? You can do an ad, your competitor will knock it off. They will not copy patience and consistency. So one of my favorite things about Claire is she's patient and she's consistent. She shows up every gosh darn time. Even when, some weeks I'm sure she felt like showing up, some weeks I'm sure she did not. And she showed up twice a week, every week for months, still does. So that consistency and that patience wins. And the reason it's third is if you don't have a reasonable expectation, how can you be patient, right? And if you aren't tracking using the data and making database tweaks, you can be as patient as you want. You're never going to get anywhere. So I'll end with a quick story. Let Jackson say anything he wants, and that we'll just call it. But I forget where I read this, but the POWs and I think it was a Korean War. One of the author that I was reading talked about who made it through that scenario and who didn't. And he said there's three kinds of people and only one made it. There's the people that were did not have any hope that they would get out. They died because they're just like, this is, why would you want to continue to live if this was your, if you're just going to be a POW forever. So those guys didn't make it. The second kind, believe it or not, because you think, oh yeah, negative attitude's bad, positive attitude's good. The people that didn't make it were the people with the most positive attitude. They also didn't make it because they always thought it was going to be this weekend or by Christmas there's always an expectation it was semi around the corner. And the longer they were there, and they were disappointed, obviously, because it wasn't around the corner. They just couldn't keep doing it, right? If you keep getting let down, to say it very lightly, you give up. So those people didn't make it. The people that won were the people that had a persistent belief that they were going to get out, but they didn't know really when it was going to happen. Maybe tomorrow, maybe in 2 years. I know I'm going to get out and I know I'm going to make it, but I don't have any specific expectations. So when we talk about patience and consistency with marketing, and Jackson kind of hit on it, you want that belief that Jackson and Mike aren't these superhuman, or pick whatever marketer you respect, aren't these superhumans that I can never be. They're just smart guys, or reasonably smart guys, ideally, or guys with similar intellect that I have that spend a little more time, a little more money figuring this out. And if I spend enough time and enough money, I'll figure it out. And, like Jackson said, marketing is a huge, huge thing for companies. So I've got a reasonable expectation that if I spend the time and money I spend to figure it out, I'll make 5x, 10x, 1,000 that X back. So that patience and consistency, and like Claire, when we told her at the beginning, hey, give us 2, 3 months, 1 to 3, maybe you'll get lucky. And she probably in that time saw people do better earlier. And she didn't go, well, how come this and what? She's like, all right, what do I need to do? And just kept going and just kept going. So that patience and consistency, not only in a POW camp, but apparently in marketing, is what will keep you, right? Like, not like I'm going to be rich by Tuesday and not I'm never going to get rich. Just that if I apply consistently, I've got reasonable expectations. I follow the data, not the drama, and I just keep chugging away at this. I'm going to win. And I'd like to win sooner than later, but it'll just be when it'll be. And that'll just be that. All right, Jackson, what did I miss? What do you want to add before we wrap?
Nothing. I think,
No POW stories? Come on, Jackson. What are you doing? It's a marketing
um,
podcast. You should have 7 of those ready.
a lot of, yeah, I feel like a lot of people, when they get started, I always get asked this question. I hate the questions like, when can I expect to see results? And I'm like, I hate that question. Because like the person in me, I want to tell them, like, yeah, you'll see results real quick, right? But I know genuinely, most likely they won't see results for a little bit. I don't know when that would be. It could be a month, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, because there's so many variables that go into it, right? But as especially as I interact with these people more, and it goes for the people with program and other business owners I've worked with, as time goes on, that question essentially gets erased from their mind, and that patience and consistency pays off because they start to see the smaller results and the stuff that builds up to the bigger results, right? They see that, a loss isn't necessarily a loss. And yeah, I feel like all of the people I interact with now who come to my calls twice a week, I don't get asked that question. Instead, I get asked the question, okay, this hasn't worked. We haven't really got anything for the past 2 weeks. When do we change or when do we adjust, right? Which is such a better question. It is not this isn't working, I'm not seeing results. It's well, this approach hasn't worked. How do we need to tweak it? Or maybe we should do this or something else. And that is a constantly forward thinking mindset as opposed to a just break the tires off the car, let's put it up on bricks type I'm done thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All these are really important, and it's definitely not something that's going to happen overnight for a lot of people, but um the more you work towards it, the better off you'll be.
And that give me, all right, Jackson did such a good job that I'm going to give you three quick little things that'll be fun. One, it's really a paradox. Those who focus on the results tend to get the least of them. Those who focus on the process tend to get the most results. So it's almost unfair, or probably feels unfair to the results focused people. But if you ever go to a golf teacher, probably any decent teacher, you hit the ball and you're like, that one went straight and long. I want to do that again. The golf teacher's like, I don't even know where the ball went because I was looking at your swing. So we focus on how long till I get hit farther and straighter. And he's going, how long till your swing gets straightened out? So he's focusing on where your swing is. You're focusing on the ball. When you get better, you stop focusing on the ball. You start focusing on your swing. And the paradoxical thing is, the more you focus on the ball, the less the ball goes where you want. The more you focus on your swing, the more the ball goes where you want. So same with marketing. Focus on the data, you'll get the results. Focus on the results, you'll get frustrated. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I get two things I would respond. I know you don't get that question a ton, Jackson, but I'll give you how I would respond that maybe help you and hopefully help our audience. When people says, how long till I get results? I would respond with a question, define results. Because that's the problem. They don't really know what that means. They're like, how long? They've got I make money. How much money? Off of how much spend? Like, let's be clear, right? So I would put it back on them and be like, define results. Like, to know what a click costs, to know what a lead costs, to know what a bid costs, to be able to get your first client, to be able to get your first client profitably, to be able to make scale. So you've got a system that'll build $1 million business, to have a system that'll build a $10 million business. So I think a lot of times they haven't thought it through, and the best value we can give to people are like, how long will I get results? What do you want? Like, what is it we're talking about, right? And then the second thing is, because I get that question more on people that aren't clients that I'm, talking to that are in the industry, but not our clients yet. When my response would be, well, it's really kind of a graph. Within a day, it's 100% luck, right? And it's so funny. A lot of times when people join our program, just the energy and the like excitement and kind of being fired up about their business again. Before we do anything with them on marketing, they'll get clients and be like, hey, I got clients. And that has nothing to do with the marketing piece. It's just more their energy and I guess a little bit of luck, right? Like that's how it works. So month one, it's 90% result or 90% luck and 10% skill. Month 12, if you're consistent, it's 99% skill, 1% luck. And it just, the luck to skill ratio just keeps going. So it's like, do people get, we had Tasha and I forget her husband's name. They got a $20,000 a month contract in like 2 weeks. That's, I think, our best, quickest results. Would I ever tell everyone this is what no, it was some luck involved, right? Like we helped and actually did some stuff that got them there, but I could have given the exact same advice to 1,000 people, and 999 would not get that $250,000 a year contract in 2 weeks. So week one and two, it's luck. But for Claire, at her point, she's just been so consistent. It's like there's no luck involved. It's just skill. Like there's a little luck in terms of is it super, is it 300% ROI or 500% or just 200%? There's some luck involved there. But so really, those would be the two things. If people ask me or you're asking me in your mind, how quick do I get results? We'll spend 5 or 10 minutes defining results, really. And then two, how long are you willing to do this, right? Like, again, same with eating well or building muscle. Maybe some of us you ask your coach, how long? It's like, well, some guys will put on 5 pounds of muscle in 6 weeks. Some guys, it might take 6 months. All right, if you're a 6 months guy, you're going to quit. Well, then just let's go, right? Like the longer you do it, the more the 100% of the people will build muscle given enough time. All right, I feel like I've got a little preachy. Jackson's been delightful, guys, gals. Hopefully, this has been of value. Thank you for your time and attention. If this has been good, but you're like, I need more specific help, please reach out. Growmycleaningcompany.com, Instagram, whatever. Say, hey, we've got nothing but coaches. Dying to help you. Talk soon. See ya. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.